Yeah, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Nudazah back at you real quick. I wanted to cover something in particular because somebody has shot it to me and told me what I thought about the video. It is a video that Campbell Hassan did. You know, the one guy that with allegedly got touched by African Bambada. I say allegedly because I don't know, and I'm not just gonna put it out there in the ether, but allegedly. And you know, for the most part, his channel is really like he started on some good shit. You know, for some people say that it's starting to slip up. It's going more into Illuminati and the gay agenda, and then and you know sometimes borderline erratic. But for the most part, I like his content. You know, he really gets into his point, and he, you know, whatever. He's a good channel, whatever. Shouts out to him. But anyways, before I even get into it, shouts out to Bay Recon. It's the homies from upstate really doing it with that rap stuff, you know, and yeah, shouts out to them. I'll drop a link in the thing, but also shouts out to Daylight, you know, because I seen a video somebody had shot of me, and he was talking about basically about like Mexican and blacks, you know, why he could understand why we don't get along, and you know, even though he joshed about certain things, he still made a good point. Like you know, it's hard to understand sometimes, but that's besides the point. You know, I just wanted to talk about this dude in particular, Iron Sheik. Like through his video, you know, he made strong points. You know what I mean? So I got to give it to him on that. You know what I mean? What I didn't understand is why he felt the need to want to talk about the West Coast, and like once again, you know, it's the hate mongers. They want to talk about like all the bad stuff. He mentioned something about Snoop Dogg, which had entirely nothing to do with what he wanted to talk about. I guess he tried to tie that into the 6ix9ine thing, and you know about Mexicanos, whatever. But I really couldn't understand why he would speak on the West Coast, seeing that he's from the East and this is the West Coast. You know, it's like I understood about the things with the Dominicans. I've ran into other Dominicans that said they weren't black and they were darker than me, and that's something that they just got to deal with themselves. But I would figure that he would talk about that. But I guess since he wanted to, uh, you know, address the 6ix9ine thing, he used comparisons, and you know, and I'm gonna get into exactly what he was talking about, basically about the black and brown situation in LA. And he actually, what I found funny is because he made it seem like though we have the numbers that we were straight dominating, he just kind of made the blacks seem like they were just like a dot on the map and they couldn't really handle their own. Anybody that has lives in Los Angeles knows that when the war, when these little wars were kicking off, it wasn't even about race. This shit was about gangs. Gangs didn't like each other. Gangs got into it. People got killed. It just so happened it's just black and Mexican. There is no white gangs in Los Angeles. For anybody that's paying attention, there's no white gangs in Los Angeles. So of course, two gangs that go at it, either Mexicano or you're black, or you're just Mexicano or Mexicano, black on black. It's just like that. Los Angeles has always been a hotbed for gang activity. That's where it originated, and that's why it is the way it is. Everybody's vying for the top. You know what I mean? But as far as like, I just didn't understand his statement because he made it seem like the blacks on the West Coast wasn't shit. Like basically they had to team up in order to deal with the homies. And like I said, the homies got the numbers, you know what I mean? But anybody that was involved in any wars that went down in Los Angeles knows that people died on both sides. People continue to die on both sides. But as far as like, excuse me, as far as like the drama of that ongoing war, that shit has died down. It's calm. You know, for the most part, every once in a while shit pop up, and then instantly it may have been a gang thing, but then see the media makes it something to do with racism, and that's why it perpetuates the violence. But even with the BG knockout thing and the Vlad constantly being a dick rider, it still didn't go to that pace where they were just killing each other. It's been kind of quiet. You know, I've heard of like little things happening here and there, but that's gang shit. That has nothing to do with race. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. But this guy, I just didn't understand because he went into things. For one, he's not a blood. He's not a Crip. He says my hood, and I guess, you know, like anybody, that's where you grew up at, so that's what you consider yourself, guilty by association. He talked about the homies having all the drugs, and then he separated MS Rece and the homies, which MS falls up under us. Maybe not the ones from El Salvador, but the ones that come to Los Angeles fall up under us. You know what I mean? It's that blanket. They fall up under us. So that's how I knew when he separated that. It's kind of like, okay, he just going off what he heard, you know. And then he went into like other things about him fighting life twice and this and that. Well, for one thing, if you know it about anything, then there's no need to mention who has all the guns and all the drugs in LA. Like, that is what I found funny. If you see, that's what I can understand. Like, if you're an old head, it's your time to lay back. This ain't your time to go into the spotlight. See, you know what I mean? It's like, even though I do the YouTube thing, I know my place in the pecking order. I lay back, I do my thing, I try to get my fair work, and I let the younger homies do whatever the hell they gonna do. Yeah, I try to coach them and try to keep them from doing shit that's gonna get them locked up. But for the most part, as an old head, you know, I know my time was before and their time is now. So like, when I see dudes like that, it's like, you know, okay, he used to be, sorry about that, he used to be a rapper, you know, a battle rapper. He went into how he started that, and that started off positive. But the thing I couldn't understand is why he felt the need to want to go into gangs and about prison. And then this is not even the topper. The topper is the fact that he, you know, well, Mexicanos are best. If any Latino should stay basically out of, since they don't like blacks. You know what I mean? Since he blanketed, you know, every Mexicano doesn't like blacks, or every Puerto Rican and whatever, because he put Latino. So, you know what I mean? If I don't know. I don't even know what to say to this dude. You know what I mean? It's like, you're an old head. Just go ahead and sit back. Let these young dudes do whatever the fuck they're gonna do. Try to, you know, try to help them as much as you can. But in the end, you gotta just lay back. This dude came out on some straight hate monger shit. He went into the fact that Mexicanos basically shouldn't pick up the genre. That reminds me of something that on an old video somebody has said, like, Latinos should pay homage. And I said, for the most part, I would never pay homage to nobody. I'll give certain rappers that influence me respect, but the far that, you know, somebody has to pay homage, people from the East Coast at one time said that people on the West Coast should pay homage. But what we did is we took hip hop and made it our own, switched it up, turned it to gangster rap. Now they got different genres in LA of rap, you know what I mean? And now you got other parts that's trying to take that gangster rap, because we know back in the days, I mean, just to be honest, the East Coast didn't rap like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's called, you know, I can't say evolution, but that's called evolving. We took something, made it gangster rap, evolved it into something else. You took a piece of it back and made it into what you got now. You know, that's, and this whole shit is not even about West and East beef. We've been through that. We already know where that went to. You know what I'm saying? It's more about why he felt like he needed to come on camera and talk about all Latinos should just stop, you know, rapping because it's a black thing if you hate blacks. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a type of shit that is funny. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, we all know how the blood started. Well, for the most part, if you really want to know, there's certain channels that you can go on and it will lace your boots on exactly why they started the Bloods in the pens out there on the East Coast. It wasn't like that here on the West Coast. But for the most part, if I'm going to address anything, like if I feel some type of animosity against a particular race, I'm going to address it where I live. I'm not going to talk about something that goes on in a whole nother state. New York is New York. LA is LA. IE is IE. OC is OC. This is all West Coast. From here to the Bay Area down to Dago and back. This is the West Coast. We do things different. We handle business different. And just like the East Coast handles their beef different, they handle their shit different. Their bloods have a different, they may fall up under certain constitution, but for the most part, their blooding is blooding in their way. You know, he said something about 6ix9ine, you know, wants to be Mexicano again, that he basically no longer wants to claim the bloods now that he's facing black consequences. We are, like, that's what how can you find anything glorious about any black being incarcerated? How is that? How can we coin that as a black thing? Like, for the most part, every black that I know outside of myself ain't trying to be incarcerated unless they really have to. Even when they do crimes, they're not trying to get busted for it. But, you know, the law is the law, and the cops, you know, they got technology, so they're on your ass. You know what I'm saying? And I know this video is all around the place, but I just needed to address that. Like, this guy, look at Iron Sheik, whatever your name is, no disrespect, bro, but you need to go ahead and sit down. You know what I mean? Because all this, you know, this hate mongering from across the coast, you need to just go ahead and if you want to be a hate monger and you want to, you know, deal out your own particular justice, just keep it on the East Coast. You don't like Latinos, deal with the Boricuas on the East Coast, if that's what you really want. If you really want to settle something, deal with it that way. You don't like the Dominicans that say that they're not black, deal with them. Coming on the internet and talking about some, drama that has something to do with cats on the West Coast, and saying it about the Mexican mafia and all that, you're talking about shit you don't even know about, because if you did, you would be like this. This has not The West Coast has nothing to do with the way you think in your politics. Just keep your hate mongering on that side. On the West Coast, we got enough to deal with. You know what I mean? For the most part, nobody on the West Coast wants another war, and not even a racial war, it's gang war. And for you to come on here, you know what I'm saying, and make it seem like, we just bullied the Bloods and the Crips, it ain't even like that. You ain't from the West Coast, dude. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If anything, you're talking about people emulating. This is where Blood and Crippin start from. So who's emulating who? You know what I'm saying? It's like people need to get past that shit. But like I said, this video is kind of just all over the place. But for that dude, like, look at Hassan Cambell, dude. I know you gotta do your content, you gotta get yours. But having dudes like this spewing that fucking hate out their mouth, for one, it don't matter who started hip hop. And from my understanding, it's multiple groups started hip hop. You know what I mean? And it every time it changed to something else. You know what I'm saying? Before, they didn't rap about all that bullshit. But now on the East Coast, they rap about shit with guns and all this other shit. So it's constantly evolving. You gotta either get with the times or lay back, dude. But speaking on the West Coast business, it's not your business. Like, unless you're out here to actually see and hear what goes on, stop listening to these rappers that can't even go back to their own hood. You know what I'm saying? It's like that, dude. Like, just keep it positive. And for Hassan Cambell, I love your channel, dog. You know what I mean? But you gotta steer clear of this. Like, this shit is muddling your message. These guys that come on here and they got nothing but hate in their heart. And if you, for those that get, I can't really go into everything, because for the most part the brain is just thinking entirely too fast. But anybody that has not seen the interview, go on to Hassan Cambell and watch the interview with Iron Sheik. And around start at like 9 minutes, you'll notice he'll start to go into like all types of shit. And he used all that to justify him hating Tekashi 6ix9ine. And it's just like, and Tekashi 6ix9ine may be Mexicano Boricua, but he's from the East Coast. He may be a blood, but he's from our claimed blood, but he claimed the East Coast blood. It has nothing to do with the West. Get it right. It has nothing to do with the West. Over here, you know what I'm saying, we got enough problems, dealing with the day-to-day. So just keep all that hate mongering where the fuck you live at, and we'll handle our business according to the way we handle. You know what I mean? And it's just, like I said, I didn't want to be negative or nothing, but like, when I see fools just spitting that venom out their mouth in order to stir up some drama, and not saying that he's gonna kick anything off on the West Coast, but it's just people that spew stupid shit like that in the first place. Kind of like, you gotta think, dude. All he did was glorify blacks getting busted. All he did was glorify blacks killing, glorifying who went to jail. Not even him. He ain't did. He did one bit, got out, he was cool. But he continued to glorify his homeboys. Like, okay, like, they did that. You're done with, just look at your boy Zod is about to get up out of here. But like I said, everybody go ahead and enjoy the night. This is another video that's just ranting, but just go ahead and check out Hassan Cambell, Iron Sheik is interview. It started at 9 minutes if you really want to see. And for anybody that watched that on the West Coast, you blood and you crippin', man, don't even listen to nothing that dude say. He don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He just got hate in his heart. And on that note, I'm your boy Zod, I'm out.